Good morning, everyone. I'm out in God's country, having my morning coffee on the deck, and the pooch is eating breakfast. And I've made oatmeal, and I was just watching, the old YouTube, and was watching a little thing on Monty Python's movie Life of Brian, which I thought was a great film. And it was amazing how people just lost their shit over it. And I follow in a great tradition of griots like Monty Python, like George Carlin, and like my newest fave, Jimmy Dore. These folks and David Icke, and they're all basically comedians, entertainers that don't take themselves too serious, but try to put some light on what's going on and not telling you what to do. So this program, first and foremost, is here for entertainment's sake. And I've been, if you go to my xratted.blogspot.com, you see that I'm a writer. And that is just one novel and only 3/4 of it. I don't give the other quarter away until, some people start reading it. I might as well, not just shoot my wad. So I have now about 30 novels, right? And I'm writing another 6. And I have these things called white papers because over the years, when I was a scholar in the university settings, I wrote things. I was hired not to teach, not to be a tenured guy, but I would research things, and not in the way that universities look at it. But I was hired to be part of studies and programs that were looking at a larger thing. And a good example of that larger thing is an organization called DARPA, DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Programs. And they were brought forth. They copied what the Nazis had done. Why did, the Nazis were producing more weapons and more cutting edge stuff by the end of the war than they were in the beginning of the war. And that is because they threw out the book on what science was, where people said, oh, that couldn't be. And they called all things that when people said, oh, that couldn't be, Jewish science. Now, there's a real big difference, folks, between the Jewish folk and the Hebrew nation, right? So, and that's all I'll say, I basically, in the late 70s, while I still lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, my landlord was a rabbi, and I came back from Ireland, and yes, Ireland, because Ireland. And I, came back, and it was my 3rd time in Ireland, and my 2nd time after being at Trinity and being with the old crone. And I came back, and I wanted to, came back. I was gone for about 6-8 months, right? And I had, had my experience, working at the VA and being educated by all these healers from different schools, shamanic and Shinto and Buddhist and, Vedic healing traditions. And I was sent there by my, my superior, colonel, who kind of ran Fort Hamilton, um, during the Vietnam War at the early 70s, which is when the Vietnam War was at its height, from like the Tet Offensive until 75. That's when things were like, Richard Nixon went, ballistic on Vietnam, with Rolling Thunder. And anyway, when I came back, I there were no more lofts. Soho was gone, Tribeca was gone, the West Village was gone. They were all been hipsterized by yuppies, and I had a great time that 10 years in Soho and Tribeca and the West Village, and one of my motifs is I move on. I get involved in something. I use my 3 rules, Doctor, do no harm, don't get involved unless you can have an positive outcome as an exit and you protect the innocent and get them out of harm's way. And third one, don't get involved unless you can learn something. So in all of those things, I did all of the above. And I don't involve my ego, or I try don't. Hey, I'm a moron like the next guy. And I try not to involve my ego. What I do is for those 3 things. And if they aren't being served, and that's, my service to love's co-creation to all my relations. If I can't do that, I don't quite, get involved. Now, I have certain skill sets that I allow myself to be recompensed for. When I worked for the Desperate Lawyers, they paid me ridiculously well for my skill set, because really at that time, and pretty much when I work within the dynamics of that, I never work for anybody who doesn't need me more than I need them. So when I'm employed, I get paid pretty good. But as the years have gone by, and pretty much everyone's going to, hey, Sarah girl, how you doing? And so I've been watching. We got this 18-month window of opportunity of bringing forth a better world, and it's very similar to the year 2000. Y2K. I mean, that was a red flag of like trying to scare everyone into the new world order, but that didn't work. So we had to have 9/11, and that didn't work. And we had to have a ton of wars, which have, basically banked. We fought all those wars. George W. and Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney fought those wars on a credit card, which is, we have, at the end of what you want to say about Bill Clinton, he had balanced the books and he had a surplus going, and they were taking more taxes in than were going out. And soon as George W. got in, and that's why we went from pretty much zero debt to, we have more than $17 trillion. We got like $100 trillion debt. It's like off the hook. And soon as the dollar stops being the reserve currency of the planet, and that's why they put Knucklehead in as the poster boy, right? And good old Donnie Chump, meaning he's no different from Obama or George W. or Billy Bob or George H. or Ronald McDonald. They're all the same guy, with different party masks on. You just have to look at what they've done and, what our country is. And, this whole Brexit, I have no teeth, that thing in England. And Ronnie, and Chucklehead is over there licking the portal of the Queen. Um, it's a very amusing thing. It's pretty there. Yeah, it is. It's look at that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's as non-toxic as you get, and it's very the energetics, the sweet and love. And right now, at 10 minutes, 10 seconds, I'm going to meditate and send the juice of love, co-creation out to you. This is for you, Sarah. So how are you feeling now? Every morning, every afternoon, every evening before you go to bed, you should do that because it cleanses the auric field. It quiets the squirrel in your mind, and it allows you to not be bombarded by the negative clutter that is our material world. That's what I was looking for, Sarah. You're right by my side. Hey, Chloe. Chloe's a good dog. She knows that I won't indiscriminately feed her so she doesn't beg. And here's Buzzy. Buzzy's buzzing around. Nature is something that we're supposed to be in balance with, not kill. Right? Buzzy, you should come down near the screen. Get in front of the camera. Come on, Buzzy, get in front of the camera. You don't need to turn our environment into a toxic adventure. And the corporate motif. Hey, Jane. Yeah. And if you study history, you see that everything that's going on today has gone on before. What got us into the Crusades, but, red flags. Oh, those Muslims said they're doing it to us. Oh, we have to go get them. We have to steal their stuff, And instead of viewing everyone as our brother, I lived in North Africa, um, and I used to go to prayer in the mosque. And, hey, you just look at me. I'm not your average bear. And no one ever, I mean, they would like go, huh? But once, you know, they talked to me, um, all I had to do was say, Salam alaikum. And they were like, alaikum salam. They said, okay, this guy is least respectful. And then everybody invited me to their home because Islam is based on hospitality. And I didn't diss their religion because it's basically, Christianity on steroids. I'd like to see some Christians pray 5 times a day. I'd like to see the Christians, have their business motif. You know what Sharia law is? It's running their life by the Bible, their business life. If you ever read Sharia law, and whenever people get blanged out about Islam, it's because people like the Wahhabi or the ISIS or whatever, and those aren't really Muslims. They are more, you know, manufactured. Well, there's Buzzy. He's trying to get in front of the camera. A good boy, and or girl, which I know, probably a boy. He's a worker. Um, you know, um, like I said, the Hebrew nation, um, you know, and Christianity is a bastardized business plan, made up by some pagan corporate folk at the Council of Nicaea, and Islam, at least Islam came from a guy who said he was a prophet, and, whenever they speak in Islam of the Prophet Muhammad, they don't call him God or the Son of God or any of that stuff, just, hey, this guy, you know, had a nice working plan. And they kind of realized it was a business plan because Muhammad came from a rich neighborhood, from rich people. He got, his business plan off the ground by his family bankrolling him. And once he got, a little pushy about it and it no longer served their business motif, they pushed him out of town. And he went, on the road, like I keep saying, hey, let's take the circus on the road, kids. And for anyone to subscribe any ideology to the great creator's motif, they're kidding around. Really? You know what God's saying, you know? And when you know the history of the Bible and the Torah, which is the Old Testament, you see that it was written by many people over many times, subscribing God's um, wishes to their political point of view. And that's one of the biggest problems humanity has. Belief. I don't believe in anything. All I have, and this coat here, this is a good example of, the humanity. It's all these beliefs all over one coat. It's like, what's his name's coat of many colors. Anyway, I'm going to go back to meditating, gang. Okay, Sarah, Jane, and take the little things that I've said and push everything out of the way and try to see them as clearly as possible, because I want to come back after a moment or two of meditation and I want to talk about the alternative aesthetic. The powers that shouldn't be are pushing us towards this doorway in the next 18 months. You thought 9/11 was bad, the next red flag is going to be off the hook. And so we have to have an alternative to that. And it has to come from our heart. And it has to facilitate our service to all our relations through love's co-creation. Okay? So here we are. We're going on, it's 19 minutes and 45 seconds. So the next 2 minutes, let's meditate on that, right? sweep, step, sweep, step, sweep away the refuse, step into your conscious mind, sweep away the refuse, step into your conscious free will, sweep away refuge, step into your conscious ascending free will. May you be the alchemist that changes the base metal of your bag of water into that golden thread to your higher consciousness. See it now. See it clearly. Be there. So, what do you think of the alternative aesthetic? What should it be? Coffee, the devil bean. Just a little bit. That's all you need every morning. Just a little bit. And everyone is affected differently from every substance. So you can either, OD on things, or you can just take little bits. Like Callie used to say, just a little bit. So I've been writing the alternative aesthetic, right? Talking about the history of the old business plan of, the angry God, and the new business plan of, and the old business plan of the angry God is we're all sinners. We're all living in a restricted, dogmatic world, and only a few have the right to abundance. The rest have to live in scarcity. And that's not what it is. This world is a world of abundance. Everyone should, go for it. And America's most beloved and favorite president, who is he? FDR, because he pulled everyone up, everyone's boat raised. He didn't say that rich people couldn't be rich. He just said that they couldn't own everything, and that, health, education, and a job weren't a gift given to you by, the rich. It was a right that all citizens had. He realized if the population had those things, everything would work a lot better. Now, guys like Bernie, no, he's a sock puppet like everyone else, because when the Democratic nomination was taken, I mean, he should have been running against, Trump. And if Bernie ran against Trump, Bernie would have won. But they took it from him and gave it to Hillary. And Hillary took it. She didn't want to be president. What she wanted was to not be indicted for everything that she had done with Billy Bob. She didn't, she wanted power and money, right? And a continuation of her lifestyle, whatever that is. A lot of people are lock her up, I'm not a guy to judge. So she accepted the thing of being the Democratic guy who was going to lose, And look, she didn't. She had only gone to 3 states and said, "Hey, how you doing? Vote for me." She'd have been president, And that thing of the, the electoral college, that was put in place so the rich guys could always pick the president. We're the only industrial democracy that has it. Everybody else votes for their president, and it's whoever gets the most votes. You know, some of them you have to win by X amount, and if not, you have a runoff. But you know, so everything Trump says is true. It's fixed. You know, fake news. I mean, but it's been that way since the founding fathers. And we're coming up to one of these synchronistic moments in history that has happened before. They happen about every 6,000 years. All of these trends, instead of just one coming or another coming, they're all coming together. And like I said, in about 18 months, we're going to see it happen. And unless we put forth an alternative motif, an alternative aesthetic on how we run our lives, then, ooh, baby, it's just going to double down. We're going to be in. Why do you think they made the movie Hunger Games? Why do you think they have all this dystopian, um, stuff out there in the media? Because they're getting the public ready for it. And but it doesn't have to be. It's not written in stone. You know. Yeah, Jane. Tai Chi. Those moves in Tai Chi are great. But why you do those moves is the quiet. It's just like when I put you in a guided meditation. It's to quiet down the squirrel in your head, in the cage of your Rolodex. And you can do that energetically. I used to do that with people, who were in hospital beds who had no legs. I had them do Tai Chi in bed. You know, it's a energetic of your field, right? Not by moving your body, your bag of water. Yes, you're moving that forward, but you can get it going. So I want you guys to think about the alternative aesthetic. I want you guys to, because I'm going to be talking more and more, and every chat is going to be really more focused on that. I've been writing about it, and I'm going to start, reading you what I'm writing and in little chunks so we can talk about it, because I need feedback from the cadre, right? So that's what it is. We're moving up to 30 minutes, and it's 10 a.m.-ish here, so I have to move on from this beautiful spot, So unless anyone's got some, really great thoughts, I'll spend the last moments in meditation. So here we go. Shante. Om Shante. Om Shante. Om Shante. And every day and every way we take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. As it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. Aho. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Maybe this afternoon, definitely tonight, depending on what's going on at the school. Okay. Later. You have a beautiful day, beautiful evening, beautiful whatever you are, whatever time you are. Talk to you later.